Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel, and I've got a co-host here who's got a really damn long nose, Tanner Dykstra, and today we're going to be talking about Robert Zemeckis' entry into the live-action Disney remake franchise, Pinocchio. It's got Tom Hanks in it. It's got a little boy made of wood who wants to be a real boy. You've heard of it, but if you want to talk to us about Pinocchio or anything else that you are currently watching, join our Discord. That link is in the top description, and while you're down there, please like this video. We didn't really like this movie. We should like this video. It's probably better than the movie. And subscribe to our channel. We're doing a lot of movie reviews. But Tanner, you and I watched Pinocchio this morning, sort of half-heartedly, as we had just woken up. And I can see you're lying. What are you lying about? Why don't you lie to me about your
Oh, you want me to lie to
thoughts
you
on this
about
movie?
my? I'll lie to you about my thoughts on this movie, Chucker. How about that? Pinocchio is great. It's a movie that looks great, is very well acted, and keeps me interested the entire way through. And it's a good thing I'm facing the camera because otherwise you would see my nose growing because those are all lies. This movie is boring as sin. It looks like trash. Some of the voice acting is
Hit or miss.
subpar to say the least.
Yeah, I really do think that this movie is bad across the board, and that's coming from someone who hasn't actually seen the original Pinocchio. I know it's a classic movie. I know people hold all these old Disney movies in really high regard, but none of them really were in my social circles when I
Hmm.
was younger. I never sat down like, kid, watch Pinocchio. So I didn't even know the story of this film. But from what I've come to gather, talking to you, listening to some reviews of what this film does, it seems to sort of walk back a lot of what made that original movie interesting and unique. The only thing that remains is that we've got characters that are charming to kids, and that's about it. And I'm really curious to see or hear, hopefully, about some of the creative choices that were made here. Story points are added and removed in ways that don't add anything to the film, and at almost an hour and 45, this movie has so much padding and barely anything happens, it feels like, that I was really just uninterested for so much of the film.
There are things that are added here, I would say. I think that the love interest girl who's like part of the puppet show.
Yeah.
And we see once before the sort of third act kicks in, and then never again because this movie doesn't have an ending.
No.
Yeah, I think she is a new addition that is completely superfluous to the rest of the film, as is this entire film feels superfluous to itself.
Yeah.
It just a series of events that happens that seem entirely disconnected. There's a moment right when Pinocchio and Geppetto are reunited where Pinocchio basically recounts the entire plot of the movie.
It's bad. It's
And
really bad.
and apart from being just a bad scene and a bad way to execute that sort of reconnection of two characters, it just hammers home that's like, damn, a lot of stuff has happened and it feels like nothing has happened because I'm not interested and this movie doesn't know how to create a narrative hook at any point in its
Yes.
runtime.
Well, it does at the beginning, which is that this wooden little boy has the goal of becoming a real boy
Mm-hmm.
by learning about the world, by trusting the truth in his heart, or whatever, poetic bullshit that the blue fairy says at the beginning. Which, by the
Mm-hmm.
way, I found that really obnoxious. I'm really not a fan of poetic storytelling that these older movies that it's based on often have. But that goal is set up, but it never really feels like that's actually the driving force of the film, because Pinocchio as a character has very little choice.
Mm-hmm.
Things just sort of happen to him. We had this problem. We reviewing the Best Picture winning film Oliver, in which we
Mm-hmm.
talked about Oliver just feels kind of like a football. It's going to kick back and forth between groups, and that's absolutely what happens here. A sequence of this in this film will finish, and literally Pinocchio will just be scooped up by another group of characters and
Mm-hmm.
shipped off to his next adventure. And he'll say something funny, or he'll say something, oh, I'm a little bit scared, and that's really all we have for our main character. And unfortunately, none of the other side characters feel like they support that at all, because each of them is only involved for a scene or a scene and a half, and they exist only to teach a lesson to Pinocchio about being good or bad, and then disappear completely. So because of the lack of story momentum on a plot level, because it doesn't end where you think it's going to end, the ending is terrible, probably the worst part of this film in terms of story-wise, and then it's not supported by scenes or supporting characters that are even necessarily coherent or interesting in themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck, you bring up the side characters, and they are again, falling victim to this issue that this film feels like cotton candy, like I'm a raccoon and I'm washing my cotton candy in a river.
Yeah.
It's melting away as I'm experiencing it. There's nothing material to experience in the film Pinocchio, and that goes for the performances as well. I mean, we have Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks. Let me just hammer this home. Tom Hanks in a role in this film, completely and utterly useless.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt as, voicing the classic character Jiminy Cricket, completely unrecognizable. Because he's doing some sort of weird Jiminy Cricket-esque voice. If you're gonna get that, just get a professional voice actor who probably isn't going to sound grating to the ears when he's doing this voice. It's completely superfluous as well. Benjamin Evan Ainsworth again has this like grating Pinocchio voice that I don't really think works.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find them as obnoxious as you did in
Mhm.
terms of voice performances, but I do think the most obvious flaw that this movie has for me, it's a kids movie. These are simple characters, it's a simple storyline. I can take or leave that. As a more experienced film fan, I recognize that these aren't the things that are going to speak to me. But watching this film, the sense of place and the overwhelming feeling that everything is CGI in some sort of way makes this film feel uneasy to me. We were picking and choosing scenes. We're like, is any of this a set? Is it all CGI? Is the Italian countryside real? Is this town real? How does the CGI elements interact with this world? How much of it is real? It's hard to tell. That made it feel really uneasy to me. And also, the CGI isn't that good. I mean, frankly, the CGI of this film is to the par of something you would have seen in the early 2010s, maybe late 2000s. And that is very clearly a testament of this is sent straight to streaming. This movie was not in theaters. This is not the budget that they put behind Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast or Jungle Book or Lion King. Those movies have great CGI. I'm not saying they're great movies, but they have the highest budget CGI that you've ever seen. And getting Tom Hanks cradling Pinocchio, and you can tell there's like nothing in his hands. It's really obvious where the disconnect between the CGI and the real world is, and it's apparent in every single scene. And this is coming from the director who did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the gold standard for interaction between real world and animation. And nowhere is that clear in this movie that man with the talent that he had is behind the wheels of this.
Yeah. Completely and utterly soulless. This film is going to get a 1.2 out of 10 from me. This feels like the codification of the idea that Disney doesn't give a shit about these properties that they're remaking and are only doing them to do them, apparently. Because this one isn't even for profit. They didn't release this in theaters. It seems like they only remade this for the sake of giving this a live action remake, like they're doing with their entire vault of classic animated films.
Yeah, and it's most sad because they tried to hook you in, and they hooked us in with the promise of big name talent of Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks, and those guys did Castaway together, and they've both been nominated for tons of Oscars on their own, and you don't feel that at all here, and that makes it not only bad but just very disappointing to me, and an obvious cash grab on the legacy of these two important actor/filmmakers' careers. I mean, I'm huge fans of both these guys. They've done some of my favorite things of all time. Toy Story, Back to the Future, holy crap. And now they have this as maybe how kids will know them growing up. They'll know Tom Hanks as the guy that was in this movie if they've seen it on Disney Plus a bunch of times. Who knows what Robert Zemeckis movies they'll have even seen, period, in their life other than this. And that makes this just a categorical bad for me. It sinks everything that's involved with it down lower. Disney, the talent involved, you and me watching it, it's going to get a 1.5 for me. Absolutely trash movie.
Trash movie. Don't watch it. Do anything better with your time. Watch either of the other two Pinocchio movies that have come out or will come out later this year with GDT's Pinocchio, which is...
Actually, I'm sure this is probably better than that other animated one.
Well, maybe. You're probably going to have more fun with that other one, I will say.
Possibly. Yeah, there's not really much more fun to be had here.
Yeah, regardless. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back with a hopefully better movie next time.